What if the numbers you trust most were measuring something that wanted to be left alone? On Ridge C, under the skeletal silhouettes of manuka trees, a chipped white trig marker stood like a bad tooth against the sky. Ethan leveled his total station. He called her Luna and began the night's ritual. Point 1 on a dry hummock. Beep, stored. Point 2 beside a black ribbon of water. Beep, stored. Point 3 into the damp, tunneling air. Beep, stored. Numbers don't lie after dark, he told himself. The rhythm of angles fitting together like clean joints kept his nerves tidy. Until his radio coughed a thin, "Hello?" that the sight guard never followed up on. At point 9, he saw it. Another nail, glinting by his boot. Then a second, then a third. They weren't scattered. They were aligned, small bright coins pressed into the turf, a deliberate path pointing back toward the trig marker. He tested one. It was driven in true. The grass around it was faintly crushed, as if something had paced there, turning slow circles. The wind died and the hill felt hollow. Work the math, he thought. Numbers straighten the weird. He set his prism on the first extra nail. Beep, green, then the next, and the next. The nail constellation drew him out of the scrub, over whispering reeds, and up toward the pillar with the inevitability of a zipper closing. Near a leaning fence, a fine coil of black hair clung to a nail. River slick, midnight dark. He flicked it away, and it tugged his knuckle before letting go. At the base of the trig, the path of nails ended as neatly as a seam. He swung Luna for the final angle, watched the numbers blur and settle, then saw it bloom on the screen in comforting green. Error, 0.002 meters. Adjust? He exhaled. Beautiful, as his thumb pressed yes, the traverse closing in invisible stitches. The tripod trembled. Deep in the concrete, something made a throat-scraping noise like grit shifting behind paint. A hairline crack snaked down the pillar's face. He hit store. End job. Upload. Luna blinked. Working, and the radio, without his finger on the button, asked in a paper-dry voice, "Finished?" "I'm done," he said before he could stop himself. The voice sighed. Good. The pillar exhaled a sweet, rotten flower scent with a metallic tang, like old coins in a mouth. His headlamp fluttered and died. In the dark, a bright ring, a tiny bell tone, then again and again, lighter, as if a sound were falling down a throat. It wasn't Luna. It was his dropped prism pole kissing a nail head. "Who are you?" Ethan asked, because ritual is how you keep from breaking. "A closure," the radio said. "The last one left slack. You made me exact." He swallowed. "Do you want me to open you?" The voice, almost tender, replied, "You can't. You only close." Luna chimed. Upload complete. He packed her up with careful hands, saw the crack now looked deeper. The dull brass plaque read, Trig 17, do not disturb mark. A warning that had learned to whisper. When he tugged the pole free, a single black hair looped his ring finger with neat surveyor's precision. It tightened, then slid into the crack like thread through a needle. The pillar took one last coin breath and stilled. Heel to toe, he walked away. The fence wire lifted as if a second hand held it for him. The ground felt newly level, as though the hill were tidying up after him. He didn't look back. At 3:17 a.m., a bright note struck glass somewhere inside the dark, and he woke to find his hand lifted. A loop of black hair was tied around his ring finger with a knot he'd never learned. Dawn came. On the ridge, the nails were gone. The crack was just a scabby vein. He pressed the hair onto the plaque, watched it tremble, and feed itself into the thin line. The site lead texted, "Nice loop, good error." Ethan typed, "Cheers," deleting "Tell the boys not to touch Trig 17. You don't disturb things that feel finished. Weeks later, his loops still closed clean. Some nights, a single bell note would wake him. Sometimes the hair found his finger twice, as if someone were checking the knot. So, if this were your night, if your radio asked after midnight whether you were finished, would you leave the loop open? Or would you close it and live with whatever answers a perfect number invites? Let me know in the comments. Open it or close it? And if you liked this 5-minute nightmare, be sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell for more. Thanks for watching.